Congressman, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. And Congressman Stubbe comes from the 17th Congressional District, basically Sarasota, Port Charlotte, Venice, and he's a proud Florida Gator, and we love you even more because of that.
Yeah, double Gator.
So we have limited resources. We're trillions in debt. What was the response to your recent op-ed piece about the VA processing medical claims for illegals?
Well, what's fascinating is, like, every Democrat, berates you and opposes it. And it's just fascinating that, Congress, we created the VA to service our veterans that have service-connected disabilities. That's the only way that you can get, the ability to use the VA is if you're service-connected. And they want to, and they are, the Biden administration is using the VA to process medical claims of illegal immigrants. There are so many illegals that have come into our borders, almost over 12 million now, if you include the gotaways, that the other agencies that are focused on other services in our government have to help out CBP and INS and all these different agencies to help process 12 million illegals to allow them to come into our country because Biden has an open border policy. And it's just not, it's amazing. Another quick story. When I was on the Judiciary Committee a couple of years ago, they wanted illegal immigrants to get primary health care and specialty health care within 8 hours of crossing the border. So I did a simple amendment that would require that veterans are treated the same way because, I have to wait 60 days to get a flipping appointment at the VA. So let's treat our veterans the same way you Democrats want to treat illegal immigrants, and every single Democrat voted against it. It just shows you that they care more about illegals coming into our country and breaking our laws than they do about service members who have raised their right hand to the Constitution and served our country.
Well, Senator Rubio made an excellent point. He says there's a lot of people here that, came from other countries that have worked their whole lives paying into Social Security, and they're getting a, monthly remittance that isn't even what some illegals are getting in a monthly stipend, and he made that point.
Yeah, they're getting debit cards from some of these cities. If they show up at a hospital, there was a number not too long ago, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like $1,500 per person in the state of Florida that we're spending on illegals' health care just in the state of Florida. And a simple change that the legislature made, which was very good, just simply asked the question if you are a citizen of our country, and has thwarted a lot of it because illegals don't want to say that they're actually an illegal for the fear that they're going to be deported. So that staved off the cost. But we're talking billions and billions of dollars nationwide, not just in healthcare, but in education and all of the other programs for needy care and Medicaid and all of these things that don't have a nexus to citizenship. It's amazing how much money we've spent on top of the fact that the whole purpose of this, and it's clear now because they're saying it, is to allow illegal immigrants the ability to vote because they know that they'll all vote for Joe Biden. So this has been the purpose all along. They don't care that over 376 known terrorists come into our country. They don't care that 1,800, I think it's 18,000, criminals from all across the world have come into our country, Iranians, people that want to harm us, over 50,000 Chinese Communist Party people. They don't care about that. All they care about is winning elections, and they know that they can't get actual citizens to vote for them. They need illegals to vote for them.
Yeah, and you tried to thwart that, or at least the House did, with a bill to prove citizenship before you vote, which is a total common sense, logical thing to do, and the Democrats are going to fight hard to keep that from happening, correct?
Yeah, that should be voted on this week. Most states, some states, Democrat states don't, but most states have prohibited the ability for an illegal to vote, but a lot of states allow you to use a driver's license, and in some states like California or New York, you don't have to be a citizen to get a driver's license, and so they're using their driver's license to vote even though they're not a citizen of our country. So it addresses that you have to go to a voter enrollment and show proof of citizenship in order to be able and eligible to vote. It's just common sense. It's crazy that I'm curious to see if there are some Democrats that vote for it. But my guess would be none of them would vote for it. But we are going into an election here in a few months, and a lot of these Democrats in tough seats may think, well, it's hard to go back to your district and say that we should allow illegals to vote, but who knows?
Yeah, and you're also on the committee or subcommittee looking into the weaponization of the federal government. Do you have anything? What's the latest to share with us on how what you've collected?
Yeah, we've actually got a hearing today, so I'd encourage any of your listeners to watch. It starts in about 20 minutes. and we're bringing in some people who were prohibited from testifying in Trump's trial in New York. So there was an individual who was the former head of the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, who was going to testify that what was alleged to have occurred by Alvin Bragg was not an election crime, and you have to have an election crime in order to violate whatever statute in New York they were trying to charge Trump with. So he will be speaking today. I think that'll be very powerful testimony to hear that the judge in that case would allow him to testify but not talk about any of those details. So it's the complete weaponization of our justice system from New York all across the country that Joe Biden has weaponized against not just Donald Trump but conservatives all across the nation. And we've seen it time and time again with President Trump being sued and criminally charged in all of these different jurisdictions. And finally, we're getting to the point where, the U.S. Supreme Court said he's got immunity. So that's going to change some things. You've got a lot of appeals starting to occur. Unfortunately, in New York, you can't technically appeal the conviction until after sentencing. So his lawyers are doing a good job in doing that, but you are witnessing the weaponization of the federal government against their political opponents.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it going all the way back to the Tea Party and the IRS, and here we are today, and, we went through the whole FBI thing and Agent Strzok and all that. I understand former President Trump is going to be in Florida today. What's going on?
Yeah, he's got a big rally that's going to be happening in Doral at his golf club there. So, it's funny. Biden now wants to say that he can get just as much of a crowd as Donald Trump, and that is just 100% a lie, like most of the things that come out of the White House. But you'll see tens of thousands of people, if not more than that. I mean, Trump had a rally in New Jersey with over 100,000 people in it. New Jersey is a Democratic state. You're seeing all across the country, people are sick and tired of Joe Biden's politics and policies and want to get back to making America great again. And you're seeing it from Pennsylvania to Florida. Florida's going to show up strong for President Trump in November, and I think you'll see a ton of people at this rally in Doral this week.
I don't think, the polls are just a poll. However, in 6 swing states, they've got Trump up. But like in Michigan, for instance, Trump's up by 1 point. I just, with the way he's drawing crowds and everything else, I don't understand why it's even this close. Can you explain that?
You've got Democrats that are just, I don't know. I can't understand how any American could see Afghanistan. We have war in the Middle East. We have war in Ukraine. We have like one of the worst economies in inflation that we've had in over 40 years. And all of the illegal immigrant crisis that we briefly discussed, all of these things, and think that that's a good direction for our country to go. So it's shocking that it's that close. But those numbers, I mean, you've got states like Virginia, Minnesota that are actually in play that are typically Democratic states. So if Trump's polling even or a little ahead in states like Minnesota and Virginia, that's a really, really good sign going into November.
I think that I'll speak for conservatives. We think if the election is held with a level of integrity, that Trump will win in a landslide. But it's that big if. What do you say?
Yeah, it's up to Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution states that the states determine the time, manner, and place of elections. So Pennsylvania's got to get their crap together. Michigan's got to get their crap together. Georgia fixed a lot of their laws. Their legislature changed it, and the governor approved it. Wisconsin is another one. But there were a lot of COVID-era policies that were in place that allowed for non-verification of absentee ballots, which I think were just COVID-era. One of the focus of the RNC, which is why Trump had so many frustrations with McDaniels, was the fact that they weren't addressing these issues in these states, which the new chair is doing. So they're very focused on ensuring that it is, there's going to be some level of fraud, but to be able to cut back on complete non-verification of absentee ballots, you don't know where they're coming from. There's no assurance to know who it is that may or may not be putting those in. Unlike in Florida, where you have a barcode and a signature requirement on absentee ballots, so you know exactly who it was that voted. They don't have that in some of these other states. But a lot of it was COVID era, and we have a lot of this. I've been told that the RNC and the campaign has a team of lawyers in these different states to ensure that doesn't happen again.
Well, let's hope that's the case. Congressman Greg Steube, always appreciate your time and your service. And hang in there, my friend.
Thank you. Good chatting with you.
All right, you too. Congressman Greg Steube, 17th Congressional District.